No kidding. All right, so think action, page 84 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Morning, guys.
Morning,
How we doing? Awesome. Top of the page, when you begin to believe your goal is possible, the natural result is that you start forming plans and get more focused on making things happen. Middle of the page, possibility thinking must be followed by action for those possibilities to have the chance of being fully realized. Sophia, it's so awesome to see you on Zoom. You were in the room yesterday and you're on Zoom today. It's great to see your smiling face.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Looking forward to seeing you. All right, so the problem for most is that they assemble everything they need to pursue success, and then instead of actually pursuing it, they leave the raft of their salvation on the shore and decide to think about it some more. In other words, I'm getting ready to get ready. How about you just get into action? You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. Be willing to be bad at something until you could be great at it. Just get into action. They hide behind the continual inaction while calling it something else altogether. So they don't call it inaction. In other words, if you talk to that real estate agent, they wouldn't say, you know, I'm procrastinating. They wouldn't tell you that. They would call it something else. They would call it inaction in the form of additional research, planning, preparation, or more plainly, procrastination. When you are ready, anything short of action is just plain inappropriate. When you are ready, anything short of action is just inappropriate. There's a video on YouTube I went to look up. It's called Jump. Amazing video. Steve Harvey, did I get the name right? Comedian? Yeah. I got the name right. So Steve Harvey, Jump. Watch that video. Love it. When it's time to take action, you got to jump. By the way, when you jump, it's kind of scary. You might get hurt. And it's okay. You're just going to get back up and keep going. But jump. All right. Simply put, top agents know that no action leads to nowhere. No action leads to nowhere. And nowhere is not where they plan to be. When you know what to do, there comes a point when it is just time to shut up, and giddy up. Get up, dress up, show up. How do you succeed in real estate? Get up, dress up, show up. It's just that simple. Now, page 85, Gary goes on to say, most high achieving real estate salespeople have something of a natural advantage. They naturally tend to be decisive and have a high sense of urgency. Urgency, love that word. Success is not the result of how many hours I work. Success is the result of how much focus, energy, and urgency I put into my time. When something is urgent, it's the only thing that gets our attention. Think about the last time you were having a conversation on the phone and at the same time you were washing the dishes, you were folding clothes, you were putting things away, you were telling your kids to clean up their room. You were multitasking and all of a sudden the conversation got real. In other words, all of a sudden there's urgency. You'll literally stop everything you're doing. And if it's really urgent, you're going to sit down and focus on that conversation. Nothing else matters. And I know everybody in this room has had that conversation because I know I have. Big models assist the naturally action-oriented and the less naturally action-oriented get into action and stay there. So if getting into action is not something that you do naturally, if it's not part of your natural DNA, in other words, if your natural DNA is ready, aim, fire versus ready, fire, aim, then a big model will get you into action in spite of naturally being someone who is getting ready to get ready. In other words, lead generation model. 20 conversations a day and 1 appointment scheduled, standard, whichever comes last. Big model, say yes. Yeah, and if you don't naturally get into action, but if that's your lead generation model, Alan, and if somebody is holding you accountable to that, it's a standard that's going to get you into action, even if that's not something you naturally do. Right? Where's Jonathan? Jonathan. So you and I have been working together for how long now? Almost 2 months. Perfect example. And I've had lots of conversations with you about you're getting better and better at your scripts. Yes or yes? Yes. And have I asked you, Jonathan, how are your calls going? Yeah. And have I asked you, Jonathan, just out of curiosity, how many calls are you making? Right. And from day one, did you start out with a standard of 20 conversations and 1 appointment booked? No. You've been working your way up from, I had 2 conversations yesterday. Now I've had 3 conversations, correct? Yeah, absolutely. So then I'm coaching you. The next question I'm going to ask you may not be, you might not like me, but okay. Is today the day? Or when is the day? When is that day going to come when you make 20 conversations and 1 appointment booked a standard? When is that going to be a standard?
It's already a standard.
It is a standard.
Yes.
There you go. Give it up for Jonathan. Models represent a plan that was prepared in advance and when properly systematized should translate into a consistent set of actions you take every week or day. Well, isn't that what I was just talking about? Aaron, did you turn the air up in here? It's hot in here. And the rest of you are thinking, John, we finally like it in here. It's not freezing cold. Paige, can you see if you can turn that down a couple degrees? Otherwise, I'm going to start sweating up here. That works. 66. It's not really 66 degrees in here, I promise you. Or like 86. Stop it. All right, go to the bottom of the page, 85. Think without fear. I really wanted to get to this conversation today. So we're going to jump. Think without fear. One of the big obstacles for most people who want to think action is that as they set out actually to take action, they cannot think without fear. I'll go back to Jonathan. Jonathan, when you started making those calls, was there a little bit of fear involved?
Yes.
Is there still a little bit of fear involved?
Yes.
Yeah. I've been doing this 20 years. Confession. There are still days when I go to pick up that phone and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I have it in me today to get rejected 20 times. 20 years. And I still deal with this. Now, because it's a standard, I don't have a long conversation around, am I willing to do it anyways? I just do it because it's a standard. Now, there's never been a day, I may not want to go to the gym at 5 in the morning. I may have a hard time getting out of bed and going to the gym at 5 in the morning. Stanley's a personal trainer. He can tell you this is absolutely true. And I may have to talk myself into going, but there's never been a time that I went that afterwards I regretted that I went. Every single time I was, oh, I'm glad I did that. I feel great. So the same thing is true for you. You may have a little bit of fear before you get into action, and you may have to talk yourself into doing it anyways, but there's never going to be a time that you wish you didn't do it after you've done it. Even if you didn't get the desired result, by the way, that's just focus, that's perspective. Perspective is the only thing that can dramatically change the outcome of an event without changing any of the facts. So not getting the result that you wanted, that's just perspective, because you're thinking the result that I wanted was appointments. I'm thinking the result that you want is 20 conversations. And that's a choice. Meaning if you don't have 20 conversations, well, then you just chose not to have 20 conversations because you decided to stop making calls before you got to 20 conversations. Now, even if that happens, because it'll happen, I promise you, it will. Even if that happens, it doesn't mean that you failed. The only way to fail is to quit. And if you never quit, you'll never fail. Failure is an event. It's not a person. Yesterday ended last night. Today is a brand new day. All right. They start to move forward, stumble into some obstacles, and find themselves paralyzed into inaction by the specter of failure. Oh, this is super important. I'm going to read it again. So Gary's talking about that real estate agent who decides, okay, I'm going to start making calls today. Today is the day. And here's what happens. They take action. And as they set out actually to take action, they decide to take action. And as they set out to actually take action, they cannot think without fear. They start to move forward. So they move forward in spite of their fears. They move forward, then they stumble into some obstacles and find themselves paralyzed into inaction by the specter of failure. So if you've ever felt like that, don't feel like it's just you. It's not. If it's in this book, then do you think it's happening to a lot of people? Yeah, of course. You're just like everybody else. And then fear of failure itself becomes our primary fear. Middle of page 86. If you take action, you will most certainly make some mistakes or fall short of the initial progress you'd hoped for. You're gonna fail. It's part of the process. To rephrase the popular bumper sticker, setbacks happen. The good news is that setbacks along the way do not represent total failure and should never get in your way unless you allow them. Again, it's a choice. Setbacks can even represent positives such as learning opportunities. You know, I asked the other day, what's the most common question that doesn't get asked as often as it should? And the answer to that is why, W-H-Y, 3 letters, why? Why is this not working? Why did I not get the result that I want? Now, we ask why when we're not getting the result that we want. We don't ask why when we are getting the result that we want. And that's when we should be asking it, because that's the opportunity for growth. Because the answer to that is your opportunity to have a breakthrough and take your business to the next level. Failed attempts are not failure, so never fear the attempt itself and keep trying. Charles Kettering warns us of this when he writes, "The only time you can't afford to fail is the last time you try." It follows that if you never quit trying, you've never really failed. Now, as I'm reading this morning and I'm preparing for this call, this message came to me, something that I've read 40 times, not an exaggeration. So I immediately said, this is the third decision for success. I am a person of action, from Andy Andrews' book, The Traveler's Gift. Think without fear. Here's what Andy Andrews had to say. Beginning today, I will create a new future by creating a new me. No longer will I dwell in a pit of despair, moaning over squandered time and lost opportunity. I could do nothing about the past. My future is immediate. When I am faced with the choice of doing nothing or doing something, I will always choose to act. I will walk with a spring in my step and a smile on my face. The lifeblood rushing through my veins is urging me upward and forward into activity and accomplishment. Wealth and prosperity hide from the sluggard, but rich rewards come to the person who moves quickly. I am a person of action. I inspire others with my activity. I am a leader. Leading is doing. To lead, I must move forward. Many people move out of the way for a person on the run. Others are caught up in his wake. My activity will create a wave of success for the people who follow. As a leader, I have the ability to encourage and inspire others to greatness. It is true, oh, I love this. It is true, an army of sheep led by a lion will defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. Have any of you ever worked for a sheep before? Don't raise your hand. Don't say me. Nope. Keep your hands down. Oh, I shouldn't have asked that question. You know a sheep. You know when you've been led by a sheep. A lion is fearless. I can't think of any creature on the face of the earth that God gave us that represents fearless any more than a lion. Be a lion. Be a lion. Be a duck, be a spider, be a lion. Yes, you didn't know that you were signing up for John's wonderful adventures at the zoo. How to sell real estate by going to the zoo. Yes. Now, hey, that's a title for a book. That's the next one I'm writing. Okay. Think about that for a moment. Be a lion. So great book, Chase the Lion. Great book, Chase the Lion. I am a person who moves neither left nor right. A person who moves neither left nor right is destined for mediocrity. My biggest frustration in life, Keith, is that people settle for mediocrity. They settle for mediocrity when great is still an option. They settle for mediocrity when mastery is still available. They ask the wrong questions that lead to mediocrity and instead of asking the right questions that lead to mastery. Like, how can I hang on to more of my commission? Versus, how can I double my production? How can I triple my production? How can I build a real estate business that nets me $1 million a year? Because if this book, okay, this is me getting on my soapbox, but who cares? If this freaking book was written based on the best practices of real estate agents who are earning $1 million a year, netting $1 million a year, giving away $1 million a year, and there's hundreds of examples in this book of real estate agents who are doing that. If this book was written about that, then why can't you do that? And when we settle for mediocrity, we're saying, love that book, can't do it. Because if you could, you wouldn't be looking for the exit. All right. I'm going to my Facebook account later today. I just lost about 20 friends. All right. I'm okay with that. Listen, if you change because of that and you seek mastery instead of mediocrity and you no longer want to be my friend, okay, cool. I'm great with that. I am not a quivering dog, indecisive and fearful. Successful people make their decisions quickly and they change their minds slowly. I am a person of action. I am daring. I am courageous. Fear no longer has a place in my life. For too long, fear has outweighed my desire to make things better for my family. Never again. Never again. I have exposed fear as a vapor, an imposter that never had any power over me in the first place. Zig Ziglar calls fear false evidence appearing real. I do not fear opinion, gossip, or the idle chatter of monkeys, for all are the same to me. Oh, I love that. If you are with me, great. Let's go. If you are against me, I do not care. I'm going. I have a decided heart. I'm going. If you're with me, awesome. Let's go. If you are against me, I do not care what you think or say. The book I'm holding, Traveler's Gift, Andy Andrews. Read it again. 40 times, not an exaggeration. I do not fear opinion, gossip, or the idle chatter of monkeys, for all are the same to me. I do not fear failure, for in my life, failure is a myth. Failure exists only for the person who quits, and I do not quit. Think without fear. Think without fear. Yeah.
What page was that?
Page 69 through 71. Got it. All right, take yourself off mute. If you're in the room, you don't have to do that because you're not on mute. And just talk to me. If you're on Facebook or Zoom, sorry. Take yourself off mute, talk to me. What did you hear?
Hey, John. Good morning. It's Angel.
Angel, how are you?
Good. I'm driving. So I logged in a few minutes late. And, I got to say, I did not realize that you had planned a conversation based on me and my life. And I was like, wow, he is literally talking about me. I'm glad I logged on to hear this. I'm like really blown away by today's conversation. And I listened to your yesterday conversation because I missed it. And I'm actually going to listen to it again with the possibilities. And I hate to admit this, but I've only read the Red Book once, and that was probably 2.5 years ago. So I think I'm going to have to really get that out and read it, because you're clearly talking about me, and I'm in that spot again where I'm like, what am I doing? Well, I'm not hitting near my potential.
Angel, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate everything that you just said, because I promise you the 20 plus people that are in the room, plus everybody that is on Zoom, there are a lot of people who are resonating with what you just said. There are a lot of us who are saying, wow, me too. And confession time. The first 5 times I read this book, now the book was published in 2003. I joined Keller Williams Realty in 2002. And since 2003, I've read it more than 20 times. In the first 5 times I read this book, confession, I didn't like it. You guys hear me? I didn't like it. I'm like, oh my God, this is the most boring book ever. Right? Facebook Live, and this is on YouTube. I'm sure that'll get back to Gary Keller. So if I get fired, you guys will have a new team leader. Now, the first 5 times I read this book, I didn't like it. I thought, oh my God, this is so boring. Now, the longer I've been in this role, the longer I've been with this company, and the more times I've read this, I realized that this is true genius. This is a book that was written almost 20 years ago that is still 100% relevant to what we do today, and absolutely the best book ever written on building a successful real estate business. It's true genius. You can't look at this book as a front to back book that you're reading. It's not. It's a book that focuses on 4 models. Now, those 4 models are the economic model, the lead generation model, the organizational model, and the budget model. And it does an amazing deep dive into those 4 models in reference to how they apply to you as a real estate agent, building a real estate career worth having and a business worth owning. I've shared with you before that one of my affirmations is I walk like, talk like, think like, look like, and have the checkbook of a millionaire real estate agent. Now, my question to you is, if every single one of you in the room and on Zoom were earning $1 million a year in real estate right now, not in the future, but right now, would you think different? Would you show up different? 100%. Now, here's my advice. Here's my advice. Carolyn, I'm coming to you as soon as I get off this rant. Here's my advice. Why wait? Act as if. When you wake up tomorrow, act as if you are a millionaire real estate agent. Act as if. Don't wait.
Everybody sees you as who you are perceived as.
100%.
It's confidence. You have to bring it.
When Gary Keller started Keller Williams Realty, they had 2 offices in Austin, Texas. 2 offices, 2 market centers in Austin, Texas. And if you called his Southwest Market Center, which is market center number 1, still there. If you called that office, they answered the phone. Thank you for calling the international headquarters for Keller Williams Realty. They had 2 offices. I could just hear the competitors going, can you believe the ego of that Gary Keller guy? Thank you for calling the international. Well, hello, the guy was a prophet. He made it happen. Maybe he just showed up and acted as if. Maybe that's the secret, Keith. Maybe that's it. Maybe we don't need to do this anymore. You've discovered the holy grail. There it is. Go get it. Carolyn, take yourself off mute. Talk to me.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so happy to see you again. So basically, I'm gonna go to the part where you ranted. And most of it is the thing that we were taught, speak life to as if it is so.
It's in the Bible.
Yes. So if we see ourselves, picture ourselves as being in today, the millionaire real estate, things like from what we were discussing, fear, limitation, and just limited beliefs, as we all been stretching, will not be an issue.
Love it.
As a child, I had the fearless lion mentality, and I can do it. And I did it first and then asked later about, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. And as we got older, then fear seemed to take the lead, and I got to reverse it again. So daily, I'm reversing it.
I love it. Nice job, Carolyn. I love it. Speak to things that are not as though they were. If you did that, you could tell the mountain to jump into the sea and it would obey you.
Yeah.
All right, time to get to work. What's work? Work is 20 conversations, not 19, not 18, not 17 conversations. Because if you have 17 conversations, you didn't have the 18th conversation, which could have been $1 million listing, and you didn't get the $1 million listing because you didn't have the 18th conversation, Keith, and you don't even know that you didn't get the $1 million listing because you didn't have the conversation. Make care calls, not sale calls. By the way, if that didn't make sense to you, go back and listen to the recording a couple times. It'll make sense. Make care calls, not sale calls. Always lead with gratitude. Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate you. Bring value to every single conversation. Focus on either getting an appointment, getting a referral, or adding somebody to your database with every single conversation. Find somebody today that is thinking of selling their home, whether it's in the next 30 days, next 6 months, or a year from now, doesn't matter, because a year from now, you're going to need listings, Roxana. So find somebody who's thinking about selling their home today, Keith. get face to face every day with somebody who's thinking about selling their home, and then follow up forever because you reject rejection. And no is not a word that lives in your vocabulary. No simply means not yet. Remember that people will never change their mind, but that what they will do is make a new decision based on new information. And when you follow up forever, you're creating emotional proximity so that when they make a new decision, Vicki, the new decision can be to hire you. Make it a great day, everybody.
Thank you, John.
All right, my pleasure.